And that might sound
Honey dip, dip, drip, drink a sip of the juice from the fountain. Take a ride by my side for a swim. We can climb the highest mountain.
Further back than any of us can realize, we are told we live on a globe, a spinning, orbiting, corkscrewing water pair hurtling through space at more than 1,000,000 miles an hour. Did you know that's just a story? Let's address the facts. Water always finds and maintains its level. 70% of the Earth is water. So where exactly does this curve begin? The world's lighthouses, railroads, bridges, they all fail the curvature test. Why can we see much further than the globe curvature math dictates? Did you know that every experiment to prove the Earth is moving has failed? Every! Did you know that gravity is just a theory that's never been proven? When was the last time you observed water conforming to the outside of its container or sticking to a spinning ball? Pictures from space? NASA intentionally distorts reality using fisheye lenses and openly admit their pictures of the Earth are CGI composites. And all amateur high-altitude balloon footage reveals no curve. If the Earth is spinning, orbiting, soaring through space, how come the constellations have not changed in thousands of years? Did you know that airplanes climb to their cruising altitude, level off, and then descend to their destination and do not adjust for the Earth's alleged curvature or motion? Compasses and gyroscopes don't even work on a globe. You've been duped.
Spinning away. So I hit rewind, and this is that commercial.
At Brownberry Organics, we know that when we take care of the Earth also takes care of us. You'd be surprised by our environmentally friendly way of baking breads. Our ingredients are farmed for strict use.
Yes, a bread commercial using the spinning ball Earth. Because you can't escape your programming. It's used over and over, and this is why the majority of people believe they live on a spinning ball Earth.
USDA organic standards. Our bakeries are powered by renewable wind energy, and we support environmental causes through 1%
Look, there it is again.
for the planet. Brownberry Organic Bread.
Oh, there it goes spinning. That's when I looked over.
Our bakeries are powered by renewable wind energy, and we support environmental causes through 1% for the planet. Brownberry Organic Bread that's sustainably baked. And now, introducing our...
Yeah, I love them even more when around Earth like this one that isn't spinning. And again, let's see if I can get it again. But like I said, I can just turn to any channel, not any channel, but another channel, and it'll be right there.
You don't have a lot of time to do things back and forth. I need to just do it and do it right the first time. So the first wall, very important that we get this one just...
Brownberry Organic Bread. Great taste that's sustainably baked.
Because, you know, the spinning ball Earth is the exclamation point. Uh-huh.
And now, introducing our super delicious and nutritious organic...
We're going to incorporate Disney in this. Alright, so one last thing. Some of you will think I'm crazy. That's alright. But, Mickey and Minnie, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, 33. Check out her eyebrows. You know, if you look on the side, I don't know if I can do it. But it's a 33. Also, you see her head? Like you see this outline? Boom, it goes down, and boom. Same with this one right here. It's a 33. It's a hidden 33. The 33 is always hidden near that stupid spinning ball Earth. Yep. Anytime you see that spherical Earth, there's always a 33 nearby. And the Disney logo.
When you look at the atmosphere, I'm in a cold, 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 I'm in a cold. I'm in the Grove, Bohemian. I drink the juice, the chocolate milk, the holy cow. I wear the sneaks, tip up the beat. I'm 33. Grove, Bohemian. I drink the juice, the chocolate milk. Charles Manson, ranch dressing, goat head with the number 9. It is so divine with the holy grail, shape of the snail, the Fibonacci sound of the conch. Goat head with the number 9. It is so divine with the holy grail, shape of the snail, the Fibonacci sound of the conch. In my pine cone like a dirt bike. Rainbow sparkle in my pine cone like a dirt bike. Third eye rainbow sparkle in my pine cone like a dirt bike. Third eye rainbow sparkle in my pine cone like a dirt bike.
Now, back to my ingredients. There's again the 2 Scotch bonnet peppers, 1 whole onion chopped, a 2...
I'm in a cold, 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 I'm in a cold. I got the caddy, I make the Benjis, the limousine with peaches and cream. You make that dough, the symbol show, euthanasia. Nightmare hippie girl. Blue Ridge, Flippy, Illuminati, got the VIP cause I'm a 33. Euthanasia, nightmare hippie girl. Blue Ridge, Flippy, Illuminati, got the VIP cause I'm a 33. Important numbers.
3,
A bunch of important numbers.
42,
A bunch of important numbers.
484,
A bunch of important numbers.
5,
A bunch of important numbers.
0,
A bunch of important numbers. A bunch of important numbers.
24,
A bunch of important numbers. A bunch of important numbers. A bunch of important numbers.
11,
A bunch of important numbers.
23,
A bunch of important numbers. I'm in a cold. 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 I'm in a cold.
All right. This isn't what this is about, but I'm just going to show it. You got your Corona, your Crown.
The light beer you've been waiting for has arrived.
Coronavirus. Next commercial. Look at the address. 1984.
Yeah? I switched to Geico and got more. More savings on car insurance. They helped with homeowners, too. Okay. Plus, motorcycle, boat, and RV insurance.
Look at his address. 1984, too. So 2 1984 addresses. It's okay.
Covered. Like a blanket.
Oh, here we go. Here's the astronaut.
Houston.
There it is. There's the ball Earth they love to show. Programming you. This is why you think you live on a spinning ball. Because of, you know, TV shows, commercials, movies. They show it to you over and over and over. And they program your subconscious. And even though you've never been high enough up, like this guy, to see a spinning ball Earth with your own eyes, you believe in it and you defend it. Why? Because you're programmed to.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Ridiculous.
Houston, you seeing this? Geico.
They use space brainwashing you.
Mis sabios dicen que la Tierra es plana.
you never even dreamed of.
This is not happening.
Chico.
Dale, dale.
Se va la barca, se va el galeón. La tierra era redonda, como decía Colón. La 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 la
¿Vieron que era redonda nomás? ¡Redonda!
Negative about Trump or negative about Q or negative about flat earth. Trump or negative about Q or negative about flat earth. Earth. Negative about flat earth. Negative about flat earth. Negative about flat. Negative about flat earth. Negative about. I want to watch my channel, and so you know.
The suits pretty much had control of it by then, and we're running with the ball.
What a beauty to man such praise. What a the splendor outshines the sun. What a the majesty rules justice. Only a holy God, forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God. What are the glory consumes like fire? What are the power can raise the dead? What are the name remains undefeated? Only a holy God. Come and behold the one and the only. Cry out, say holy. Come and behold the one and the only. Cry out, say holy. Forever a holy God. Come and worship the holy God.
Which college or which university?
No,
University?
no,
What do you?
no,
University?
no,
University? Oh, well, university.
no,
What do you?
I care a lot about the truth of. No, I understand the truth of things. No, truth is really, really important, I think. I try to. No, well, no, all. No, no, but I mean, no, but I mean, no, you know, no, it means can't necessarily do. No, really cool.
It doesn't always have a shape. Almost never does it have a name. Maybe has a pitchfork, maybe has a tail, but evil is alive and well. It might walk upright from out of the inferno, maybe come on horseback through deep snow. It's angry and fat and hungry as hell, but evil is alive and well. Evil is alive, evil is well. Evil is alive, evil is well. On your feet to the tower and yell that evil is alive and well. Maybe too humble to wanna speak, may have a blood-soaked bird in its beak, smoke-filled skies and bees in the well, but evil is alive and well. Maybe in a palace, maybe in the streets, maybe here among us on a crowded beach. It may be asleep in a roadside motel, but evil is alive and well. Evil is alive, evil is well. Evil is alive, evil is well. On your feet to the tower and yell that evil is alive, it's well. Down in every ditch, up on every hill, it's well. I got my radio on, drowning the bells. Midnight's done and the day won't start, and all I ever gave you is a broken heart. It's hard to admit, but it's easy to tell that evil is alive and well. Evil is alive, evil is well. Evil is alive, evil is well. On your feet to the tower and yell that evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive and well.
Baby,
Midnight's done and the day won't start, and all I ever gave you was a broken heart. It's hard to admit, but it's easy to tell that evil is alive and well. Evil is alive, evil is well. Evil is alive, evil is well. On your feet to the tower and yell that evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive, it's well. Evil is alive and well.
It's easier for me to understand that the Earth is flat than it would be what mainstream science says it is. While it's
So no
shooting-
man on the moon.
Oh
No.
no. I don't.
You're
I
killing
don't-
me here.
Yeah, it kills me to think that they want us to believe that. Like the moon can be
believed,
taught.
Evidence can be found in ancient Mesopotamian imagery. As might be expected, these propose varying forms of a flat Earth model. For example, Sumerian and Babylonian depictions portray the Earth as a flat disk, ringed by mountains, floating on the ocean with the hemispherical skyvault resting upon the summits. This roof was punctured by small holes through which one could see the celestial fires of heaven. The pyramid texts of ancient Egypt, which date to the Old Kingdom, demonstrate a similar flat Earth model, with a planar body surrounded by eternal seas. It appears that concepts of this early model would also leave a record in the religious ideas of the time. For instance, the Babylonians would posit that the Earth must not only be flat, but also hollow, in order to provide space for their underworld. The Abrahamic religions also contain many references to their early flat Earth belief. Here are some common examples from the Bible. He sits enthroned above the circle of the earth, and its people are like grasshoppers. He stretches out the heavens like a canopy, and spreads them out like a tent to live in. For he views the ends of the earth, and sees everything under the heavens. He marks out the horizon of the face of the waters for a boundary between light and darkness. And finally, in Revelations, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth, to prevent any wind from blowing on the land, or on the sea, or on any tree. These descriptions seem quite similar to the Babylonian belief we have discussed. While there is certainly room to take the religious descriptions as more metaphorical than literal, it is clear that the imagery here drew quite heavily on a flat Earth model that must have at some point circulated through the culture. And while such descriptions of the shape of the Earth would continue to live on in various forms, it wasn't long before humans caught on to the error of their ways. Let's now take a look at how they did so. But before we start, I must state that it will be very difficult to speak definitively about what people in the past thought about a given subject, at least in the general sense. The historical record is often incomplete, and when we do have data, it often favors the elite over the common folks. As we proceed, I will largely be focusing on the former of these two groups, and using them as a weather vane for the beliefs of the time. That being said, I do want to state that there are a variety of practical ways that anyone throughout the ages could have come to their own understanding of the curvature of the Earth without requiring scientific advancement. Here are some simple methods of direct observation. One of the best test environments would be near bodies of water, where an observer could look out over a large, level surface and compare what they saw with expectations from a flat versus a spherical Earth model. Ships sailing over the horizon are a great example. A flat Earth model would have them disappear uniformly, while a round Earth model would see their topsails disappear last. The latter proved true. In the reverse fashion, a ship approaching from sea will first observe the tallest objects on land. Another variant on this would be to attempt to observe a distant object like a lighthouse from ground level, or from a tall tower or mountain. As would be expected with a round Earth, the greater elevation reveals objects further on the horizon and behind the curvature. Another common method would be to look up at the night sky. It was quickly observed by travelers that moving north or south had a rather drastic impact on what was visible. In some cases, objects like the pole star would have moved to a different elevation, while other stars might even be obscured entirely. A bit closer to home, one could look at the Earth's shadow on the moon. The projection of a flat Earth would be expected to cast an elliptical shadow, while a round Earth would cast a circular shadow. Again, the latter is true. Since our ancestors were well acquainted with the seas, travel, and the stars, I think it's fairly safe to assume that around the world many common folks would have had the ability to clue in onto the shape of the Earth. At the same time, I don't want to overstate the obviousness of the Earth's rotundity. For centuries, many ancient scholars from India, China, the Middle East, and Europe would continue to posit a vast array of incorrect models for the Earth's shape. Several prominent Greek philosophers of the 5th and 6th century BC argued in favor of a curved disk or cylinder. However, their peers would soon have a word to say about this. Among the Greeks, it was claimed that Pythagoras was the first to originate the idea of a spherical Earth. Born around 570 BC, he was a prominent philosopher and mathematician who contributed much to the early field of natural philosophy. While we don't know exactly how he came about his belief of the Earth's shape, it is likely that he would have relied on some of the simple observations we previously covered. Regardless of this uncertainty, his school of thinking influenced many that would come after him. Plato was one such individual who learned from the Pythagorean community in southern Italy. Upon returning home, the famous philosopher founded his school in Athens and proceeded to teach his students that the Earth was round. In his dialogue of Timaeus, for instance, Plato writes about the properties of the universe, stating that the Earth was, quote, in the form of a globe, round as from a lathe, having its extremes in every direction equidistant from the center. While the model here is relatively accurate, we are still unfortunately kept in the dark regarding any proper scientific reasoning, as Plato's arguments in the passage are more concerned with the geometric perfection of a sphere with regards to his beliefs on cosmology in general. Luckily, Aristotle, one of Plato's prized students, would provide more details. In his work of 350 BC entitled On the Heavens, he lays out his astronomical theory of a geocentric universe with a fixed, spherical Earth at its center. His stated evidence includes arguments such as the rounded shadow which the Earth projects on the Moon, and the change in constellations as travelers voyage to northern and southern regions. In addition, he also referenced the effects of gravity by stating that, quote, every portion of the Earth tends towards the center until by compression and convergence they form a sphere. Interestingly, Aristotle even directly addresses some of the arguments of contemporary flat earthers. Quote, there are similar disputes about the shape of the Earth. Some think it spherical, others think it flat and drum-shaped. For evidence, they bring the fact that as the sun rises and sets, the part concealed by the Earth shows a straight and not a curved edge, whereas if the Earth was spherical, the line of section would have to be circular. In this they leave out of account the great distance of the sun from the Earth and the great size of the circumference, which, seen from a distance on these apparently small circles, appear straight. Such an appearance ought not to make them doubt the circular shape of the Earth. Thus, through the work of great thinkers like Pythagoras, Plato, and Aristotle, the round Earth belief began to gain traction. The further spread of Hellenism with the conquests of Alexander and the inquiring Romans ensured that the idea went mainstream. Now that the round Earth model was more commonly accepted, further inquiries about the details of its shape could be made. One of the primary questions would be about its size. This would be answered by the Greek astronomer Eratosthenes in the 3rd century BC using a simple stick. His clever experiment involved measuring the angles of shadows between two distant points at the same time. The basic idea here was that if the sun was very far away, its rays would be hitting the Earth practically parallel to one another. Thus, if the Earth was curved, the result would be a difference in the angles of shadows cast by the sun. By measuring the difference, one could determine the radial angle between the 2 points. Additionally, one could also determine the arc length between the same 2 points by measuring the distance along the surface between them. With these 2 measurements, one could then use this ratio to calculate the circumference of the Earth. With his theory in place, Eratosthenes then went about conducting the experiment. He chose as his 2 locations the cities of Syene and Alexandria. The first point was Syene, where he knew that at noon on the summer solstice, the sun was directly overhead and shone down a deep well. Back in Alexandria, he planted a vertical rod at the same time of day. Using the length of the rod, the shadow, and trigonometry, he calculated that the angle of the sun's rays were 7 degrees. Plugging this into our formula, he knew that the distance between himself and Syene would be about 1/50th the circumference of the Earth. Eratosthenes then quickly referred to the results of surveying trips, which reported the value to be 5,000 stadia. Therefore, he concluded, the Earth's circumference must be about 250,000 stadia. This value was amazingly accurate, and, depending on the exact conversion of stades used, resulted in an error of only 5 to 10% from the true value. Future mathematicians would replicate the experiment, or devise other means of calculating the value themselves. Posidonius of the 1st century BC, for instance, would take measurements by referencing the position of the star Chaopus rather than the sun. Thus, the ancient world was soon becoming filled with a growing number of empirically determined data points about the spherical shape of the Earth. This would all prove extremely useful to the travelers and geographers of the period. For instance, Claudius Ptolemy of the 2nd century AD would use the data in his book, Geography. Here he introduced the concepts of latitude and longitude to create a series of projected maps with coordinates for all sorts of important locations. This seminal work would be deeply influential in the development of cartography. By the height of the Roman Empire, the Mediterranean world experienced an unprecedented degree of connectivity. This ensured that the findings of around Earth were heard far and wide. Even if the scientific reasons were not shared with everyone, the concept itself seeped into the population's general consciousness. For instance, the Roman Empire was quick to adopt the globe as a symbol of divine imperial power. This round earth imagery can be found on all sorts of artifacts like coinage. As an example, here's a coin from the reign of Tiberius, showing the emperor's dominion over the entire spherical world. The spherical shape of the earth would continue to dominate scholarship in late antiquity as a simple, matter-of-fact observation, and debate moved on to more advanced topics like the arrangement of the cosmos. Yet as today, there would still be individuals bucking the adopted view. Theological opposition was one particular source of opposition. The Syriac Christians were one notable community of flat earthers, while some notable adherents included Lactantius, an advisor of Emperor Constantine, who not only promoted the flat earth concept, but also even went so far as to mock those who opposed him. By and large, however, most learned Christian authors, and virtually all cosmologists of note, agreed on the well-backed sphericity of the globe. With the fall of the Western Roman Empire, however, parts of Europe did experience a resurgence of flat earth belief during the Middle Ages. This was in part due to the large-scale migration of Germanic and Norse tribes whose cultures still held to the antiquated views of a flat earth, coupled with the swinging of the civilizational pendulum away from scientific scholarship and towards dogmatic religion. However, I don't want to overemphasize this point, as the idea of a bleak dark age has been pretty thoroughly debunked by modern historians. After all, there would be much continuity in the Eastern Mediterranean, and even great leaps in understanding of the world during the Islamic Golden Age, which we'll be covering in another video. For now, this is where we will end things. I hope you've learned a bit about how far back the idea of a round Earth actually goes, and I'd love to see how the flat Earth community engages with this sort of rich historical discussion. In particular, I highly recommend that they try out the simple experiment of Eratosthenes themselves, or join in on the global experiment online.
Have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
The plain truth. First.
motionless plane, with the sun, moon, and stars revolving over and around us just as you experience every day. The North Pole is the magnetic monopole center point, with Polaris, the North Pole star, situated directly above. Polaris is the only motionless star in the heavens.
In Apollo 8, the commander, Colonel Borman, mentioned the views of Mr. Samuel Shenton, president of the International Flat Earth Society, who lives in Dover and who believes the Earth is shaped like a gramophone record.
Links very much with the statement which was given out by General Boardman, the astronaut. The Earth in its early stages was revealed from the waters, and it was revealed as a four-square fabric.
Like this, in fact.
The astronauts fired off from Cape Canaveral. They went on an egg-shaped orbit over this like that.
Keeping the same height all the time?
Absolutely so.
In fact, there isn't any South Pole.
No. The 60,000 miles was round the ice barrier. And so far, man has not gone across the ice barrier to investigate any further.
Research flat Earth.
Blaze New York Reuben.
You can see our case fatality rate is about half to a third of many of the other countries.
Does anybody really believe this number? Does anybody really believe this number?
I put China on there so you could see how basically unrealistic this could be.
Does anybody really believe that?
It was an elaborate military exercise. Check out the footage, though.
Live exercise here to get this right. We are on you.
This is Channel 11 in Chicago.
Some people hustle pool. Some people hustle cars. Then there's that man you've heard about, the one who hustles stars, Jack Horkheimer, star hustler, director of the Miami Space Transit Planetarium. Our episode for this week, Monday, June 29th through Sunday, July 5th, is When the Earth is Farthest from the Sun. And out here to tell you all about tonight's sky and the biggest show of all, the universe, your star hustler, Jack Horkheimer.
Greetings, greetings, fellow stargazers, and would you believe that this week is the week when the Earth is farthest from the sun for the entire year of 1987? But hold on just a minute, you say. How can that be? If the Earth is farthest from the sun this week, then why is it so darn hot out? And to you I say, I'm glad you asked me that. So, without further ado, let's fly out into space, far away from both our Earth and the sun, and look out the window of our imaginary spaceship to see what's cooking. We have speeded up time quite a bit so that just 1 year passes in just a few seconds. 1 year being the amount of time it takes for our Earth to make one complete orbit, that is, one complete journey around the sun. Now, if our Earth traveled in a circle around the sun, it would always be the same distance from it. But our Earth, like almost all celestial bodies, does not travel in a circle, but in kind of a squashed out circle called an ellipse, so that its distance from the sun varies during the year. Now, when our Earth is closest to the sun, we say that it is at perihelion. Peri coming from the Greek, which means near, and helios, which is Greek for sun, perihelion, nearest the sun. And perihelion occurs every year during the first week of January. Now, vice versa, when our Earth is farthest from the sun, we say that our Earth is at aphelion. Ap coming from the Greek meaning far, and helios, once again, Greek for sun. And aphelion occurs for our Earth every year, exactly 6 months after perihelion. So, aphelion occurs this week, the first week of July. And believe it or not, our Earth is considerably farther away this week from the sun than it was in January. 3 million miles farther to be exact. And to be even more specific, our Earth is farthest from the sun this year at 1 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, July 4th. So, once again, if we are 3 million miles farther away from the sun during the first week of July than we were the first week of January, then why aren't we shoveling snow instead of having picnics and watching fireworks on the 4th of July? Well, it's really quite simple. For like a pinball machine, our Earth has gone tilt. Indeed, if we examine our Earth closely, we will notice that it does not glide around the sun straight up and down from pole to pole, but is on a tilt, a 23.5-degree tilt. And it is because of this tilt that we are warmer in July in the northern hemisphere than in January, even though we are 3 million miles farther away. Because in July, this tilt causes the sun's rays to fall on the northern hemisphere more directly than in winter. And if you think of the sun as a flashlight, you will see that the same amount of light from the sun falls on a much smaller area in the northern hemisphere in July than in January. You see, in January, the same amount of light is spread out over a larger area. Thus, the same amount of heat from the sun is also spread out over a larger area in January, which results in lower temperatures for us in the northern hemisphere. But the seasons south of the equator are quite a different story altogether. And I'll leave that for you to figure out. And until next time, whatever you do, don't lose your cool on the 4th of July.
Star Hustler is brought to you by the Carl Zeiss Companies of North America. We're setting the standards with products for medicine, research, industry, and the quality-conscious consumer.
Hi, you're watching WTTW Channel 11, Chicago.
Then you wake up and you start to see the obvious. Life is just a lie and this whole world ain't what we thought it was. NASA's missions to the moon were never completed. They just filmed them in a room and people believed it. I used to wonder what it's like to be an astronaut. Now when I see them, I can't go but to laugh a lot. They give us cartoons and they claim that we but it's flat and it's not moving or spinning at all. Why you lying to us, man? That's something that we want to know. After that, you're gonna have to pack up all your stuff and go.
The New Horizons spacecraft made the closest ever pass near Pluto after being launched almost a decade ago. Wow, the pictures are unbelievable.
The usual, sir. Please.
Even after 500 plays, our high-fidelity tape still delivers high fidelity.
Enough of ice falling to sink a fleet of ships. It seemed like a warning from Providence not to go alongside the barrier. We therefore had to unload from the bay ice. We had to put our tractors overboard, the engines running, to safeguard the lives of the drivers, as the ice was constantly breaking off. We had to get the tractors quickly away from the edge of the crumbling ice. We came within an ace of losing overboard our principal plane of exploration, the William Hawley. It was a critical moment. At times, as the ice broke, men or supplies would fall into the water. We kept a man on watch with a life preserver on line, as a safeguard for the men working on the edge of the ice. We were working against time to finish unloading before the fall freeze-up, when the ships would have to return to civilization. You can see what a tough job we had to transport 400 tons of material through this area. The bay ice was constantly shifting and cracking, and pressure ridges were being formed as we worked by the irresistible force of the slowly moving ice cap. I have never seen men work so hard. With 24 hours of daylight, they could and often did work the clock around without stopping. We call this period the White Nightmare, and a nightmare it was. The hardest work of all was this man-hauling of sleds, which we had to do in order to get unloaded into Eskimo Huskies, still the backbone of polar exploration. They can go where no tractor could ever go. You can't do without them. Rupert must go back to civilization, because the bay would soon freeze, and she couldn't stand the ice. Now, the only person out of 150 men to get sick and who would have to go back on the Rupert was the doctor. At very great risk, I had to dispatch the Bear northward to get another doctor, for I pledged myself not to risk men for a year on the ice without medical care. There would be anxiety over the Bear. Suddenly, without warning, a storm hit us before we could get all of our food and other vital supplies stored away. And all hands had to work frantically throughout the storm to prevent the loss of food boxes under deep snowdrifts. The storm lasted for many hours. We found it chilly, working in the wind. And when it was over, there was a bit of digging to do. And here is the original Commando.
The honor of leading this expedition belongs to Admiral Richard Byrd. It is a gratifying experience for this 58-year-old explorer, who in the past had to raise his own funds for exploration, and who now has the resources of the United States Navy at his command. In 1955, 2 years before his death, Admiral Richard Byrd departs on his 5th and last expedition. But it's not simply an unknown continent or a distant ocean that lures adventurers like Richard Byrd. As he put it, here is a door ajar through which one may escape from the noise and chaos of civilization into the solace and harmony of the cosmos.
When by buying a ticket on a commercial airliner you can fly across the North Pole and drink a cocktail at the same time. 35 years ago, our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd
Asked on his podcast, The Big Podcast with Shaq, former NBA big man said, "It's true, the Earth is flat."
Shaquille O'Neal on his podcast, The Big Podcast with Shaq, is talking about how he also believes that the Earth is flat. That's right, Shaq is a flat earther.
Shaq is a flat earther?
Yes, here is what his explanation is.
It's true. The Earth is flat. There's 3 ways to manipulate the mind: what you read, what you see, and what you hear.
Too many diamonds. Ah, that's too bright. That's too bright. Well, anyway.
Oh, Mason, are you a Mason?
Of course I am.
Okay.
That's a secret ceremony. Wow.
Kyrie Irving is a superstar.
Kyrie, ridiculous handle. Oh, wow, Kyrie!
Kyrie, back in 2014, you got your first ever signature sneaker. Now, 5 years later, you have your 6th. What has this journey been like for you with Nike?
Man, this one where it's just a complete blank canvas. Let's start from ground zero, and let's build this into a huge, huge art piece that we can be proud of.
Irving driving right past Morant, right to the hoop and lays it through. He left everybody watching.
This is the same dude who says he believes in flat Earth.
But then he said he was just floating that out there to see what people would say.
Be formless, shapeless, like water.
I told you about the MPK mini play. I said I was gonna make a beat of the MPK mini play. So now I've connected it to my Apollo Twins. And what I did was the same cable that I show you on video 1. Hold on, let me show you. Let me unplug this thing back so you'll see what I did. Same cable that I told you about on video 1. You know, you got a stereo input and the 2 mono. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug this right here on where the headphone jack is at. Then it don't matter, either one of these, you can just plug it on the and let me go to the next track. Then what I'm gonna do is let me get this closer so you guys can see what's going on.
So it's not Boris Johnson or Jacob Rees-Mogg or Jeremy Hunt. No, it's Monty the dog. Monty, the Monty we'd all bet our life on. More popular than Monty Python. Monty, the man from Del Monte says yes to Monty the dog.
Yeah. The globe is in my home. The globe is in my home. Globe, globe. They're telling me the globe is my home. I'm so infinite, 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 infinite. Globe is in my home. The globe is in my home. You're telling me the globe is my home. The globe is in my home. The globe is in my home. I'm so infinite. I'm so infinite. I'm so infinite. And I'm killing it. I'm killing it. I'm drilling it. And I said it's fake as shit. Yeah, I was in the basement. Now I'm in the spaceship. Cause it's fake shit. Got on my camera. And I'm guiding the challenger. I'm smashing the actress. Cause that's all that NASA is. Space isn't real. The stars are a spirit. And I'm trying to do it real. I'm counting it. Space. Nobody can relate. So infinite, yeah. I'm so infinite, 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 infinite. Oh, I'm so infinite. Live for it. Definite. Yeah. Knowledge.
There are some in complete denial that COVID-19 is a threat. A Delta Yoga studio director is not only denying the virus is a risk, he's harassing those on the front lines. And as Neetu Garcha shows us, BC's Solicitor General is now threatening action.
Cover your cough, separate yourself.
Matt Parhar is at a drive-through testing center.
And they're like freaking out.
Continued breaking physical distancing rules, investigating whether the pandemic is real.
To put it bluntly, a narcissistic, self-centered idiot.
Around the equator, which is, we don't actually have an equator because the Earth is flat, as you know. It's not.
No, you're not a flat earther. Don't go down this road.
Actually, I'm an anti-glober. Now check this. If we were spinning 1,000 miles an hour,
yes?
How do you get home and nothing has moved?
I don't know, gravity?
Gravity's bullshit. When you...
So we actually had to take clouds out.
Pole from Middle America.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Mason. What is the main food that penguins eat?
Looks like a penguin.
It's just gone 8 o'clock and time for the penguin on top of your television set to explode.
Hey, penguin!
Well, I've been in the city for 30 years. Been in the sea for 33 years, and
If there's any more stock film of women applauding, I shall clear the court.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It opens doors, I'm telling you.
Let's have a look at that handshake again in slow motion.
Having once identified a Mason, immediate steps must be taken to isolate him from the general public. Having accomplished that, it is now possible to cure him of these unfortunate Masonic tendencies.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
Well, I'm sorry we haven't got any vacancies for you at present, and I can only wish you all the best in the future.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
Would you, you black balling bastards? Well, I wouldn't become a Freemason now if you went down on your lousy, stinking, pulley knees and begged me!
So we actually had to take clouds out.
We've almost totally removed the risk of...
So we actually had to take clouds out.
Yeah? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
It opens doors, I'm telling you.
Let's have a look at that handshake again in slow motion.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
Wow.
It doesn't have the power to enforce stay-at-home orders. If 19 million people said, I'm going out today, they would go out.
For people who don't really know what is really going on, I see the pain. You know, I see it in their eyes. Okay, sorry, cartoon. You know, well, my daughter used to love Peppa Pig, and I've become very fond of it. I like Peppa Pig. You know, it's cute, kind of real. You know, I mean, they mean nothing. This is a perfect example for you to see that all politicians, all actors and actresses, all football players, all baseball players, all of them are nothing but there to distract you. Don't you understand that? You live on a flat earth.
Okay, here we go again. Thank you. Peter Frampton on the guitar. Now how about those drummers?
Magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree, made out of Hollywood.
Okay, I want to make a simple video showing a way that you can verify that the Earth is indeed right here. So it should be easy to find from Sydney, Australia, and that is the basics.
And there was much rejoicing.
The most likely person to become a case is someone who's been a significant contact of another case. And at the moment, in most parts of the world, due to lockdown, most of the transmission that's actually happening in many countries now is happening in the household, at family level. In some senses, transmission has been taken off the streets and pushed back into family units. Now we need to go and look in families to find those people who may be sick and remove them and isolate them in a safe and dignified manner. So that's what I was saying previously about the transition from movement restrictions and shutdowns and stay-at-home orders can only be made if we have in place the means to be able to detect suspect cases, isolate suspect confirmed cases.
Confuse the cat.
Do not post that.
Don't you guys think this is a little suspicious? We should buy something else so it doesn't look obvious. Okay. Here we go. Back at you again.
Okay, let's see here. Toilet paper? Toilet paper? Toilet paper? Toilet paper? Toilet paper? So what are you kids up to tonight?
Okay.
Okay, toilet paper? Toilet paper? Toilet paper?
Chewing again.
Town has been quarantined by the federal government, nobody allowed in or out, which means nobody can come to our aid. It appears this town and this reporter are done for. Coming up next, choosing the right hair conditioner. What you don't know about hair care products could be costing you a bundle.
Earth is flat.
But I don't have much patience for anyone who denies that this challenge is real. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society.
Emma en George rijden op hun fiets.
Sticking your head in the sand might make you feel safer.
Please, can I have my straw hat? Straw hat.
Head in the sand might make you feel safer.
Please, can I have my straw hat?
But I don't have much patience for anyone who denies that this challenge is real. Flat Earth Society.
I used to think about what's real and true, what could not be proven, what could be assumed. I used to think Galileo would agree that the world was round and you'd come round to me. But I have looked for you and you're nowhere in sight. The world must be flat, the Babylonians were right, and now all I do.
In front of them. They want to be slaves.
Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
Well, you may have seen it on your way to work or school or just driving around. A new billboard has some people thinking about the Earth.
And asking the question, could the Earth be flat? Greg Argos is here with more on the movement that is taking on centuries of scientific research. Greg?
It really is, guys. And Yuki, this was just unveiled just yesterday, in fact. This billboard, a digital billboard unveiled yesterday, and it's calling into question a theory most of us have accepted, that the Earth, of course, is round. But those behind this billboard say, well, we've all been tricked.
Drivers heading eastbound on the Schuylkill already battle some serious traffic. Remember? Huh? What? Huh?
You remember the Stonecutters, Grandpa?
Oh, sure. Let's see. I'm an elk, a mason. When am I going to be initiated?
As soon as number 1 gets here.
Number 1? What kind of stupid wiener name is that?
I think you should have to take a different oath.
Everyone takes the same oath. You have lit the rocks of ignorance that obscure the light of knowledge and truth.
And in this wise. Wait!
Well, I didn't realize you were a member.
Membership pack.
What's it?
Stealing your wallet while we're working on you.
Oh, and don't bother calling 911 anymore. Here's the real number.
Ooh.
Wait, it's all flat. Always has been.
Yeah, this is going out to all the globe heads out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Where my FE Warriors at? Material plane, you got the balls on the brain, heliocentric insane. No matter how high we rise, even up into the skies, the horizon meets your eyes. They told us it was a globe, just so they could control our mind, body, and soul. Born into a brainwashed society, had you believing in the ball since you were age 3. Scientism, the new religion, put you inside a prison while constantly drilling that you live in a solar system. Space, the final frontier, keep them hooked with Hollywood, new movies every year. We've been hypnotized, all we've been told is lies in a heliocentric haze since Copernicus staked his claims. They tried to hide the truth. The fake landing on the moon was because they needed proof. So they had Apollo take a picture of the globe outside the window for the television show. Was it a painting or photo? I think math for the intro and Dubé for the info. Yeah, they put me in the know that NASA is just a show. Sayonara to the globe, cause it's flat, I'm gonna go.
By turning Earth into
into a spinning ball thrown around the sun and shot through infinite space from a godless Big Bang. They turn humanity into a random, meaningless, purposeless accident.
The Earth is flat. What you know about that? Waking up and realize 500 years of the lies, it's flat. They mess with our brains. Terra firma remains a flat and motionless plane. No matter how high we rise, even up into the skies, the horizon meets your eyes. NASA lies to our face. There's such a big disgrace. Never been to outer space. They try to hide the truth with pseudoscience proof to brainwash the youth. They told us it was a globe just so they could control our mind, body, and soul. It's flat, the material plane. You got the balls on the brain, heliocentric, insane. Infinite plane or a dome, it may never be known, but the Earth is our home. Yeah, want all my flat earthers out there to sing along? Yeah, come on. The Earth is flat. It's flat. Earth is flat. Earth is flat. Earth is flat. It's flat. Earth is flat. Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.
The biggest cover-up and conspiracy in history. We've been completely deluded for 500 years.
FE unity. Peace.
Hello, students. Welcome to art class, where there are no wrong answers.
The Earth is flat. 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 The Earth is flat.
Well, if it ain't my bestest friend on God's flat earth.
The Earth comes back to life, and it was flat.
Symptoms. Can you help us separate fact from fiction here?
Always look for.
Your script, Mr. Kubrick.
So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument and the other person does not. So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument and the other person does not.
Millennials are not, or only 64% are convinced that the world is a ball.
So we're a pear-shaped theoretical oblate spheroid, right?
I had asked you to debate one of them flat Earth guys.
No, I don't. I no. Can't. I can't. No. Can't. I no. Can't. No. I don't. I can't. I no. No.
I know. We talked about it, and we're gonna have him on Skype.
No, I don't. I can't. Preposterous. I try not to base my character profile on something that is not yet verified as objective truth.
There is no life whatever beyond the edge of the world.
On this expedition, we hope to fly across the South Pole into the mysterious land beyond to see what is there.
To the cameramen who made this picture, I want to give full credit. They did not hesitate to risk their lives at their job. Now, the North Pole is the center of a deep ocean, whereas the South Pole is the center of a high plateau which averages 7,000 or 8,000 feet in altitude. There is no life whatever beyond the edge of the world. There is no life whatever beyond the edge of the world. There is no life whatever beyond the edge of the world. There are no Eskimos. It is too cold for human beings to live there permanently. When we left on this expedition, we were, to put it very mildly, extremely anxious to find out if it existed. Would we be able to find it? As we started alongside the barrier with our ships, suddenly the edge shifted.
Good evening, I'm Prince Andrew, the old Duke of York. There's this allegation wants to take me to court. I phoned the BBC, said I wanted to talk. I guess that I'm just an honourable sort. I spoke to Emily Maitland, she made me confess about the time I went to Woking Pizza Express. There was no perspiration, cause I cannot sweat. I don't know what the problem is. I don't even know what a pizza is. I don't even eat anchovies, and I've never ever heard of mozzarella cheese. So I nibbled on a dough ball, a garlicky snack, but it didn't go much further, I'll tell you the facts. Cause eating up a pizza is a positive act. But someone took a photo and I can't explain that. The night I went to tramps somewhere I've never been, I barely even heard of Jeffrey Epstein. And if you don't believe me, well just ask the Queen, who'll tell you
I don't see what the problem is. I don't even know what a pizza is. Andrew doesn't even eat anchovies. He certainly never ever heard of mozzarella cheese.
So I spoke to Emily Maitland, she made me confess about the time I went to Woking Pizza Express. There was no perspiration, cause I cannot sweat when I'm dancing with a girl that I've never met.